It's time to sit back, relax, and listen to Conversations with Joan. Conversations with Joan will inspire, motivate, and empower you. Live your best life now. Listen, learn, think, and decide. And now, here's your host, Joan Herman.
Welcome to Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life's Conversations with Joan. I'm Joan Herman. Thanks for tuning in. Conversations with Joan focuses on topics that are important to your life, from health and wellness to professional development to personal well-being. Changemakers join me to share their insights, tips, and strategies so you can thrive and live your best life now. Thank you for taking time for yourself, and thank you for letting us be a part of your life. Now, let's start talking. You might not be able to control the events in your life, but you can control your responses to the events. According to today's guests, Steve and Tracy Webster, what you think is what you become. They say the good news, or for some people the bad news, is that you have created the life you are currently living. Steve and Tracy are the authors of the book, The Law of Creation, the science behind manifesting your desires. Welcome, Steve and Tracy. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Joan. Lovely to be here.
Hi, Joan. Great to be here.
So, Tracy, let's begin with you. How did you and Steve get started doing this type of work?
Well, it was many years ago. We were first introduced to the law of attraction with the movie The Secret, and that's where it began. However, it never took root until recently, and the shift became when I started to understand the science behind how it all works. Before knowing the science, it was just all woo-woo and something that you had to have faith in. Understanding the science gives you the tools to understand fully what is going on and how to do it and how to make it work.
So, Steve, you say that we have created the life we want. Can you explain the science behind the law of creation?
Absolutely. We're aware with the studies in quantum physics. I don't know if you've ever seen a movie called The Double Slit Experiment. If your listeners have not seen that movie, it's a YouTube clip. Just go into Google and Google The Double Slit Experiment. Basically what it says is we think of ourselves as flesh and blood, and the world is physical, but it is anything but. And the field of quantum physics explains that there is so much that we don't understand. Essentially, there's a field there, and we affect that field by observing it, by measuring it. So what you see and how you act and how you interpret what you see, you're affecting the quantum field. In that way, you're actually creating what you see. So if you can create what you see, if you're not happy with your life, you can uncreate what you've seen and create something different, something that you desire. And the physics side is that, and I always hesitate here because I think when I listen to physics, I think, oh my goodness, that's really long and laborious, and I'm a visual person. I actually like to see it written down. But what happens is, in the field, you've got all these electrons sitting, and you need a half an electron, mega electron volt to shift the electron from a not moving state into a moving state. And that electricity comes from your heart and your mind.
So for someone who's sitting home right now saying, are you kidding me? I created this. What do you say to that person?
What you think is what you become. Thoughts become things. The mystery of the quantum world is slowly being unraveled. And, the phenomena like the double slit experiment prove that we're not physical and that everything is quantum.
Okay, so understanding the science behind it and how things work, let's now put this into something tangible that people can do to enact change. So, Tracy, you write about universal laws. What happens when a person understands the universal laws and puts them into practice?
So we've identified 18 universal laws of creation, and the law of attraction is one of those, as is the law of gratitude. And anybody that's learned anything about this field already has some understanding of both of those, the gratitude and attraction. One of the two of the biggest laws that affect us is the law of reverse action and the law of association. At the end of the day, people don't manage to create their desires because we all have a homeostasis where we believe we should be. And it's all based on our beliefs. And the beliefs are stored in our subconscious. So the law of reverse action dictates that any idea, vision, or concept that resides in your subconscious will manifest and will override any conscious idea, vision, or concept if that is different to what is in the subconscious. And from the time we are in the womb and born, messages are being accepted and received by our subconscious and creating associations. And if we have a belief in the subconscious that we are not good enough to be a millionaire, we will always bring ourselves back to our homeostasis, our beliefs within our subconscious. And the law of association is our perception of the world is affected by our experiences, or rather by our reaction to our experiences. And this programs our subconscious. In order to change our lives, we need to change our associations to our experiences and to create a new subconscious program. And you're able to do this and access your subconscious by using all the universal laws of creation. And again, coming back to gratitude, gratitude is probably one of the most powerful because it has the ability to combine and affect all the universal laws together.
Joan, may I add, we've just been explaining that the world is quantum. It's not the physical world that we see. And another really important law is the law of vibration. So everything is energy vibrating. Every cell in your body, every atom in your body, every atom in the universe. But the universe doesn't hear what you're asking for. It doesn't understand language. It feels the vibration of what you are asking for. Because everything's energy vibrating at a unique resonance, the universe will offer matching outcomes based on that resonating vibrational frequency. So the book tries to teach you, hey, law of attraction doesn't work. All right, why are you looking for another book in terms of law of attraction if the other ones haven't helped you before? But the whole difference here is that we explain how you need to talk to the universe, and it's not what you've been doing so far.
Because we operate about 95% of the time from our subconscious, before we can have success with any of this, does it require us becoming mindful of the way we're living and what we're thinking?
Absolutely does. Only a piece of the book is about the law of attraction, because once you've explained the laws and how it works, the other part is how to improve yourself, how to reach optimism, how to remove self-doubt, how to improve yourself completely, and virtually how to move from your conscious mind to your subconscious mind. So when we were born, basically you have your subconscious mind that drives everything in your body. And then you start to realize your conscious mind takes over. And the conscious mind is the ego. And the more we go into ego, the more we get grown up, the more we receive bad things in life, rejections, you name it, failures, the more we move into our conscious and we start defending ourselves. If we can move back to the subconscious, that's where the power is. That's where you're connected to your source. And that's the most amazing power that you have.
So it really requires us to rewrite the programming, and we can do that by practicing these laws.
100%. So you're human. We've been taught human things. We've been taught ego things. And we're trying to undo that with the book by explaining, yes, if that's the path you want, by all means go down that path. But here's a really viable opportunity for you to change your programming, change your homeostasis, change how you think, reconnect with your subconscious, and from here on have an amazing life.
Tracy, can you give our listeners one strategy that they can implement right now that can help them achieve what Steve just suggested?
For me, what's had the biggest impact on me is your focus in life. There's always two ways to look at anything. There's a positive way to look at something, there's a negative way to look at something. And that's because there's always something good in anything. And if you can focus on the good in anything, you can always find the gratitude, and you can always raise your vibrational level and therefore start attracting something better. So for me, it's always, what am I focusing on? And could there be a better thing to focus on? Could I find the flip side of the coin that would make my focus better? So that's the be-all and the end-all for me, and that's where I start to change the process within myself.
Steve, Tracy just mentioned energy vibration, and you did a few moments ago. For someone who may not be familiar with this, can you describe what it feels like when you're around someone who has a lower energy vibration?
You've probably met people that you think are energy vampires, that when you talk to them, they suck the energy out of you. Alternatively, if you have a look at what's going on in America at the moment, look, it's low vibrational activities. Look at the violence. Look at the politics. And those are the things that obviously you could get involved with if you wished. But if those things don't attract you and, in fact, bring you down, then raising your vibration through all sorts of methods that we give you. But some of those, for instance, are, you're probably familiar with a guy called Dr. Masaru Emoto, the Japanese scientist who performed experiments on water.
Right.
And on the water bottles, he would write words, nice words and bad words, such as you idiots, or love and gratitude. Then he would freeze that water and he would analyze the crystal with an electron microscope. And the crystals that came from water jars that had nice words like love, gratitude, formed perfectly formed crystals. This is the power of vibration. And on the other hand, the crystals that came from the jars that had the word you idiot on, for instance, formed really ugly crystals. So it's that vibration that it was receiving from a word on the jar that affected it. In the same way, our thoughts affect everything in our body. So it's your thoughts that you need to increase in terms of what you just asked.
Steve, how does neurolinguistic programming play into this?
Right. Your subconscious mind doesn't understand language. Your conscious mind is language. And so what happens is when you see things, so you receive input visually, auditory, gustatory, that input is all your conscious mind. That now has to be processed by the inner workings of your mind, which is a subconscious mind. In order to do that, your mind converts language and sight and sound into symbols and pictures. And that's how the subconscious works, with symbols and pictures.
That's where the focus thing comes in. When you focus on what we all know that for the law of attraction, you will need to focus on what it is that you want, not on what you don't want. And it's a very simple explanation of that is when you're wanting to lose weight, your focus is, I want to be thin. It's not, I don't want to be fat. Because how do you send a picture to the subconscious of don't? You can't. So the subconscious doesn't understand, I don't want to be fat. It only gets the picture of fat, and therefore it will create that. So that's why focus is so important. You need to find the flip side of the coin, the side of what you want, the positive spin on what you want, and focus on that, because then the correct picture gets sent to the subconscious.
So to summarize there, neurolinguistic programming is two things. It's first of all reading people and understanding the signals that they're giving off and you're giving off. That's the one big side of NLP. But the other side is understanding how your conscious mind talks to your subconscious. Because if you know that, you can start sending the correct messages to your subconscious mind.
Tracy and Steve, you've been doing this work for some time. Can you share with us a story from either someone you've worked with or a personal story about how what you're teaching has made an impact in that person's life?
So, Joan, I'll share my story. I had all this knowledge, and I knew it all in a conscious, let's say in a conscious level. I didn't have an aha moment, and for me, an aha moment means where you suddenly resonate, you understand so clearly what the words mean that they become part of you and you start living it. So while I had all this information, it hadn't made the most drastic impact on my life. Near at the beginning of this year, things were really difficult for us and for our daughters, and we were really having a difficult time. And once I started going through the law of creation, our book, and working on it, I had a number of aha moments where information just clicked, and I managed to change the focus. Which was almost overnight. I went from being depressed and really not even wanting to be here to finding all the motivation and enjoyment and excitement that I used to have for life. And my life has been completely different since that. And the biggest thing I can say that changed was my focus.
I can add to that. We only published the book in April. We both grew up not having money. In fact, we it's a bit of a sorry story. But later on, suddenly there was all this wealth. And people said to me, how did you attract this wealth? And I said, you wouldn't believe me if I told you. And I tried to explain, about gratitude and quantum physics. And some of the people got it and some of the people didn't. But then you have to keep on applying it, okay? It's not, you don't run the program once and then leave it alone. You have to live the program. So for a while, we stopped practicing this and we got into a bad state. I wrote the frame of the book in 2017. And then with Tracy being in such a bad way earlier this year, I dug out the draft and she read it and transformed herself. She also added pieces to the book that actually breathed life into the book, but that's another story.
And Steve, I just want to focus on one point that you made. People tend to become impatient, and when they try a program and they don't see immediate results, they tend to say, okay, this didn't work, next. How long does it take before a person can see results?
There are many factors here, and they're covered by the laws. So let me give you one of those, for instance. It's the law of belief. It's how deeply you believe something will manifest. So we have a diagram, for instance, in the book that shows you the typical curve of manifestation. And it starts off with desire, and the universe starts creating what you've desired. And then what happens is you have doubt. So now the curve starts going downwards. And then you get despair because, hold on a moment, what I've asked for is not materializing. But if you can keep that upward curve in terms of belief and just know that the universe is going to give you, plus with all the other tools that we explain, then it is certain. And the speed of that certainty depends on the complexity of what you've asked for.
I'm going to bring in a little bit more of the science. At the end of the day, all probabilities are already in existence. So technically, to manifest any one of the probabilities, it could happen instantaneously. But because we are human beings in this universe that we've created, time is a very real factor for us. So we don't generally believe that we can lose 40 pounds by tomorrow. It's not in our belief. We haven't seen that happen over and over again in order to believe it. So we are controlled by time. And therefore, how long we believe it'll take is how long it's going to take for us. And you can speed up that process by understanding that the probability is already there, and you just have to put the laws into effect in order to bring it and make it a reality as opposed to just a possibility.
The book is The Law of Creation, The Science Behind Manifesting Your Desires. If you'd like to get more information about Steve and Tracy, you can visit thelawofcreation.com, or as always, you can visit our website, cyacyl.com, which stands for Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. While on our site, listen to past shows on demand, read our digital magazine, check out my blog, and be sure to sign up for our mailing list. In our final moments, I'd like for each of you to leave our listeners with a takeaway. Tracy, let's begin with you.
Okie dokie. So you can carry on with your current life, how it is. You can react to the things that you reacted to, or you can choose to do things differently. And it really, really comes down to a choice. And for most of us, unfortunately, things have to get really bad in order to facilitate us to make that change, because the pain of staying the same has got to outweigh the pain of making a change. And what I'd really, really like to impart is that to make that change is really just a choice. It doesn't have to get too bad in order for you to make that choice.
And Steve?
For me, if you're happy with your life, you don't need to read the book. If you're not happy with your life, then what it's going to give you is an amazing bunch of tools to improve your life, to increase your vibration, to start creating abundance, change your circumstances, emit and absorb joy, establish purpose, anything and everything that you ever wanted. And as Tracy said, it's all out there. You just have to vibrate at that level. And we teach you how to vibrate at that level.
Steve and Tracy, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having
Joan.
us, Jen.
This is Conversations with Joan. Until next time, thanks for tuning in.